Hi everyone, this is Sam, and today I'm going to share my TBR for Screamathon. Screamathon is a readathon for the month of October created by Fourth House on the Left on Litzy. Litzy is a fantastic app that's basically Instagram but for readers. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend checking it out. I will put all those details in the information below. For Screamathon, it's basically pick your own number of horror books or witchy books or whatever other October Halloween themed books you want to read for the month of October. For Screamathon, I have chosen 7 books from my TBR. I tried to focus more on horror since I tend to read other types of fantasy paranormal books in general. The first book on my list is an anthology of short stories that focus on the villains of various horror stories. I think there's werewolves, vampires, any type of villain that you can think of. These short stories focus on that. I mean, it's subtitled An Anthology of Evil, so this should be interesting. The second book on my list is Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. This is historical. It takes place around the year 1000. It's got Vikings and some kind of horror element, so we'll see what that entails. The next book on my list is The Wolfen by Whitley Strieber. I found this in a used bookstore years ago and just never got around to it. As you can tell from the title, it's about werewolves, so I don't know anything more than that, but we'll see how it works out. The fourth book on my list is another anthology. This time it's The Ghost Stories of Edith Wharton. This anthology of short stories was recommended to me by my grandfather years ago, so I'm finally getting around to it and we'll see how they hold up. The next 3 books on my list are all books by authors I've read before and really enjoyed, although most of them I haven't read in years, so I don't know if my opinions on their writing will hold up to the way that I enjoyed them when I was a lot younger. The first book is Carmilla, The Return by Kyle Marffin. This is imagined as a sequel to the original Carmilla by J. Sheridan LeFanu, which I did read a few years ago and really enjoyed as a classic vampire story. The book I read before by Kyle Marffin was Gothique, which was an urban fantasy vampire story. I don't remember details, but I enjoyed it so much that I'm really excited to see what he brings in this book. The next book on my list is The Dracula Dossier by James Reese. This book is about Bram Stoker, Walt Whitman, and several other characters attempting to figure out the mystery behind who Jack the Ripper is. It sounds really interesting, and the series that I read by James Reese years ago was the Book of Shadows trilogy. It's one of my favorite series of all time, at least it was when I read it back in the day, and the premise of this book is really interesting, so we'll see how that goes. The last book on my list is Dark Sister by Graham Joyce. This book is about a girl who finds some old letters, and they end up leading to a secret history of magic in her family. The book I read by Graham Joyce before was The Tooth Fairy, which was a very dark, grim reimagining of the Tooth Fairy. So I'm hoping that that gothic, dark, gritty atmosphere that I like so much about the Tooth Fairy continues in this book as well. Those are the horror books that I plan to read for Screamathon throughout the month of October. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts on them are, and what you plan to read during the month of October. Thanks for joining me.